Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're going back to the old way. I haven't done one in a while. I have not read this article yet. I was originally going to do a video on T Nation. A few things I don't like about them, but they did go over some rock hard glutes and strong hamstrings, just because people tend to lack in that and they have more strong, dominant quads. And they lack more of the hip part. But I think I'm just going to go over first, is weight training for women different than men? And that's just on the Mind Pump Media website. It's a 4-minute read. I have not read this article. I did go over a video about this on how men and women are different when it comes to hormone levels and testosterones on when they build muscle. Nothing crazy in depth about it, but it just gave you a basic line on the difference between men and women. But this will probably go a little bit further in depth. That I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and take a peek on what this is about. So, is weight training for women different than men? Telling women to train differently than men has been one of the biggest fitness. So I will say first, women should train the same way as men. That's my opinion. So let's go ahead and get into it, just because there's nothing different when it comes to lifting. Lifting is lifting. There shouldn't be any change on how people should lift because of your gender. So let's go ahead and get into it. Telling women to train differently than men has been one of the biggest fitness marketing myths in the industry. There was no rhyme or reason to it other than marketers wanting to develop a category they can make tons of money on. Women weren't going into gyms, so they needed another point of access. Female-oriented gyms like Curves were then developed as safe places to work out without the intimidation of angry men. Like, what? Okay, I don't like that. The part of angry men. Like, all men are angry in the gym. No. We're actually minding our own damn business when we're in there. Now, obviously, TikTok has point out negative stuff that people do in the gym, but it's like a 1% thing. I don't even see that in my gym. I record all the time. I don't see men yelling across the room. If anything, we're laughing. We're enjoying the time with each other. We're helping each other out. Anyway, different goals. The answer is no. Women should not train any differently than men. There is nothing about either sex that drastically changes the strategy going into the gym. As I mentioned, there is not. I haven't even read this article yet, and so everything seems to make sense. I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy, but most of the stuff when it comes to working out, nutrition, drinking, sleeping, recovery, it seems to me like it's common sense when it comes to the human body. What will definitely be a bigger factor, regardless of the sex, is your individual goals. And that's true. Women tend to have more of a weaker upper body and a stronger well-built lower body compared to men. For instance, men tend to focus on chest and biceps, whereas women prefer working on their legs and butt. As I mentioned, if there were the case, then a program would definitely alter based on that preference. Their approach with women versus men will also be different. For example, men generally love to push as heavy as they can to show their manliness, but they sacrifice their form. That's very true. Now, I've learned that the hard way. On the other hand, most female clients I've shown immaculate form, but were afraid to push the rep range too low or to go too heavy for fear of bulking up. This couldn't be farther from the truth, and I hate that. I tell people that I know who are women, I'm like, watch my old YouTube video about it. And I think this is actually going to go in depth with it, so you probably don't even have to. But I'll leave it down below anyway. Hormones. Men have higher testosterone levels than women, as I mentioned in my old video. This means women will grow at a slower rate than men. That's true. And have less potential to put on huge amounts of mass like their male counterparts will. Any hugely jacked woman you see is likely taking anabolics or just has insanely great genetics. That's true. It's big too. Like, I guess it comes to, I think they should go in a little bit more in depth with that, because like if you take a big husky woman and you cut her down, let's say she's like 200 pounds and you cut her down to 150, I think she'll have a little bit more mass to her just because she cut down from that high of a weight. So when she's cutting down to 150, she's using that weight when she's cutting down to turn that most of that fat to muscle, or some of that fat to muscle. So she's going to look bigger compared to other 50-pound women who started from skinny, from like 100 to 150, I guess. Maybe that's my thing, just because they had more fat percentage to work with compared to a woman who's just trying to build muscle. Higher levels of estrogen may also cause some extra water retention versus males. Their appetite will change throughout the month based on their menstrual cycle. So this needs to be taken into account as well. Exercise tolerance. There have been studies showing women have a higher tolerance for more volume than men. So women may do better and prefer a higher rep and more frequency when training certain body parts. This doesn't mean, however, that they should shy away from lower rep, higher intensity stuff. You want to stimulate that muscle from all intensities and achieve optimal results. And training heavier doesn't equate to looking too bulky. That's true. Too bulky is what you are worried about. Just take a look at literally every guy in the gym. They will spend their entire lives trying to look too big, and most will never achieve it. That's true. Oh, man. Keep in mind their testosterone is way higher than yours, and they will still be struggling with this. Putting on size doesn't happen overnight. Now, the only women I've seen bulky too quickly wasn't because they gained too much muscle, but they've never lost the excess body fat on their body. So they had more muscle and more fat, which of course will look bulkier. But if they shed some of the excess body fat, they could diet down to that tone look they are probably after. Essential fat. One last thing to keep in mind is that women have naturally higher body fat levels than men. Men average around 10 to 15. That's what I average around. If a woman were to get that lean, it would be way too lean to sustain. You soon find your menstrual cycle is affected by it. Your energy and mood overall declines and your hormones get messed up. This happens for men too, but until they get below sub 6. The most athletic women can be somewhere between 15 and 19, but anywhere up to 25 is considered average for a woman. And I think that's a good, healthy body fat percentage, just because they have a lot of stuff that their body's going through on a monthly basis, and also if they get pregnant, they need some body fat on them. At the end of the day, what matters is the same advice I've give males. Focus on compound movements that stimulate the most muscles in a given exercise. Choose a weight that allows you to do anywhere from 5 to 20 reps. Make sure the weight is heavy enough that you can progress within the range and not above. You don't have to train to absolute failure, but you can go to 2 to 3 reps shy. Shoot for 2 to 3 full body days. Spread out evenly across a week, hitting one exercise per muscle each time. Yeah, so I think that's going to wrap it up here. A little bit more longer than a 4-minute reading, but yeah, it kind of just sums up for women and men and what you guys here in the gym or outside on social media, and all that stuff is just BS. It's just all programming. I mean, it's just whatever your initial goals are when you go out there. So, I mean, if you want to build, I know a woman whose upper body she's bigger than me, but she's at a smaller weight. I couldn't believe it. And yeah. And I'm at 170, 173, and she's bigger than me. Like, her arms are bigger than me. Like, her arms are bigger than me. So, I mean, I'm not saying she's on anything because I can't make that assumption because I don't know her. I haven't seen her workouts. I haven't seen her before and after pictures. I don't know what her diet's like. I don't know what her genes are like or anything like that. So, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.